Chattanooga. You're listening to Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. And we had a wonderful weekend of football, did we not? Albeit a controversial weekend of football. And the reason why I think controversial, a lot of things really, right? Like, so we had that Panthers-Packers game where Aaron Rodgers came back and looked absolutely rusty. I mean, he looked like Aaron Rodgers. He made some of those Aaron Rodgers plays, slip out of the pocket, make a pass while falling down. But he also had, looks like 2 or 3 touchdowns that he threw short. It's like everything Aaron Rodgers except for the accuracy, which of course is like 90% of what he does. He looked absolutely rusty, right? And a lot of people were expecting Aaron Rodgers to come back in, basically be plugged back into what the Packers are doing. And yeah, we absolutely believe that the Packers can run the table. Well, I thought that was an unreasonable expectation from the beginning. I didn't think that made a ton of sense. A guy that has not played football in about 8 weeks isn't going to come back in midseason form. It just doesn't work like that. I think you're underestimating the game of football, and quite frankly, you're underestimating what it is that these guys do. Aaron Rodgers is obviously one of the most talented quarterbacks that we've ever seen. And still, it doesn't make any sense to believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to step in and immediately the Packers are going to be able to run the table. Now, they still had a chance to win the game, and if that tells you about how bereft the Packers are at wide receiver, they had a chance to win that game, and there was a fumble pretty much immediately after they recovered the onside kick, which was already a miracle in and of itself. Had a chance to win that game or tie it, and didn't end up being able to pull through. That game I thought was incredible. Also, and here's the thing that I find the most deeply fascinating of all the games is that Steelers-Patriots game, which was a great game. It was an absolutely fun game to watch. It just was very frustrating at the end because this is the thing that, in my opinion, is one of the major problems that football is going to have to deal with, and specifically the NFL, because I find that in college football, we don't necessarily have as many of these issues. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like we have as many of these issues where a guy is catching a ball and things that we have known our whole lives to be a catch are no longer a catch. And I've been watching football my whole life. I'm 27 years old. And I don't know what a catch is anymore. And that's a bizarre place to be. I no longer know what a catch is because what my eyes tell me is a catch and what the NFL rulebook says is a catch, those aren't necessarily the same thing at all. I don't know. Right? And it's sort of one of those things where I feel like the whole purpose of having referees, the whole purpose of having a group of people sit down and decide something is that they know it when they see it, right? Like that you don't just enforce the letter of the law, you enforce the spirit of the law. And I think that we've gotten to the point where we watch on Sunday every week a rule book unfolding. Now, I don't know about you, but when I tune in to watch football Sundays, Saturdays, I don't sit down and try and watch rules the game. That's not what I signed up for. I don't know about you. I didn't sign up for all of that. Where it's basically I'm watching someone interpret the rule book. I'm watching a bunch of different scenarios where we get to interpret rules. Rules are good. Rules make sense. Rules are necessary for society. The one thing that everybody knows by the time they're a teenager and they're trying to sneak out of their parents' house, the rules aren't fun. Right? Like no one ever sat down and thought, well, let me sit down and watch the rules. You follow the rules because you have to. But if you don't have someone that understands what the rules are intending to do, right? The rules are simply intending to define what a catch is so that everything isn't considered a catch. But some things need to be considered a catch, even if line by line in the NFL rule book. But that's where we are. And we've gotten so legalistic about this that things that were always a catch are no longer catches, right? And we've seen this with Calvin Johnson and the Bears. We saw this with Des Bryant and the Packers. We're seeing it now with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. And it reminds me of that one court case. It was a 1964 United States Supreme Court case with Justice Potter Stewart. And he was trying to define what obscenity was, because there was a case that was basically, it was a censorship case. And we're trying to figure out, should something be censored because it's obscene, or can something be art, right? Because there are some forms of art that contain nudity, let's say, that aren't necessarily obscene, that aren't pornographic in nature, right? Like there are statues that are nude. There are great paintings that are nude. But those things are art. And I like the way that Justice Potter Stewart put it, because he said that he wasn't going to try and define what was art and what was porn, what was art and what was obscene. He just said, look, you know it when you see it. Because you do, right? Like there is an obvious difference. You know it when you see it. It's a little subjective, but you know it when you see it. And I think that that's the problem where we are with some of these NFL catches. It's not necessarily line by line in the rule book a catch. But everybody with two functioning eyeballs knows that's a catch. It's a catch. And what's more, it's a touchdown. Like I don't understand why, if something is visibly obvious, why our officials can't just say that's a catch. What do we have officials out there for? Right? Like maybe that's just what it is. Like just a different idea as to what it is that we've got officials out there for. But like, I didn't think that officials were just out there to interpret rules, because their job is already difficult. But I don't know. I think that there's a certain level of, I want someone to be able to use their judgment. And if something is obviously a catch, it should be a catch. Now, I understand that the counterpoint is, well, you don't just want one guy standing around making a decision on his own as to what is and isn't a catch. But is that how that even works? Don't we have multiple officials out there? Don't we have a system whereby we send back footage to a review center in New York City, and a bunch of people sit in a room and look at this stuff on TV and then go, yeah, that is or isn't a catch? Like, we're already not trusting the judgment of just one guy. I don't think rules exist solely for the purpose of telling us what is and isn't a catch. I think the officials don't exist just to tell us what is and isn't a catch. I think the officials exist to interpret the rules. So when they don't know, or they're not sure, what does the rule book say? But if everybody knows it's a catch, like for me, that Calvin Johnson catch is the one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Because I remember I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings. It was me and my brother and another buddy of mine, and we were just watching all the games. And the finish of that game was so crazy, and everybody in the restaurant was going insane, and we were having a good time. And then they reversed the call, and there was dead silence in a Buffalo Wild Wings, which I don't know if you've ever heard that happen. It's the single most disconcerting non-sound that there is silence in a place where everybody is eating a bunch of chicken and drinking a lot of beer. It's like the craziest thing. Silence, because no one could understand how it is possible that Calvin Johnson caught the ball, landed in the end zone with the ball, and it wasn't a catch. That's a catch. But he has to maintain possession all the way through to the ground. Well, he did. And then he put the ball down. So what's a catch now? I'm worried. Like I wonder, because sometimes I go back and on NFL Network they'll play some classic NFL games. How many classic NFL games turn out radically differently if they're played in today's NFL, that a rule book runs the game? Right? The rules have become more important than the game. That's insane. And it's a problem. Like, if you have friends, right? Like, our news director, Russell Stroud, is not a big football guy. And I still try and talk to him about sports because I can't help it. I talk at him more than anything. And he does a good job. He just stands there and listens to me. But like, while I'm rambling on, like, why is it that people who didn't grow up watching football don't have any interest in trying to watch it as adults? There's too many rules, right? Like, no one's trying to figure this thing out. The rules have superseded the game by a large margin, right? And I see a little bit of it in baseball too, because baseball's got the rules and then they've got the unwritten rules. And if you don't know, you're kind of already on the outs, right? People like to watch basketball and people like to watch soccer. And I think people like to watch hockey because those games are intuitive, right? Like, there are rules in those games too, but the rules don't bog down the sport. Like, the rules don't make this stuff way more complicated than it has to be. I think one of the things too why people like high school football and why people like college football, though I think college football is definitely a big business now, but let's talk about high school football. And with high school football, you have to sort of take it at face value. We don't have a replay center. We don't have a bunch of ways to overturn these calls. So a lot of times, officials who officiate high school games wind up using their better judgment, and usually, overwhelmingly, despite the fact that job is difficult, they're right. Like, again, I don't see this as a problem. I've watched a lot of high school football. I've watched a lot of college football. I don't think I've ever seen a problem with those two levels of the game quite like we have in the NFL, where we have so many things that are a catch that get taken away because they're no longer a catch, or no longer a fumble, or no longer an interception. And I've seen a few of them now, and it's worrying to me because it feels to me as though the rules of the game have gotten bigger than the game. And it seems awfully unfair to the players who go out there and risk, quite frankly, their lives and their limbs to play a game. And that game is not officiated in a way that works to their advantage. I'm not sure how it's not a catch. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to the game on CBS, right? And Tony Romo is sitting there and he's sure it's a catch. And they're wrong. They're wrong, right? But they're not wrong in the sense that they're wrong that it's not a catch. It is. But they didn't interpret the rule book, right? Because the rule book is supposed to help you define what a catch is, not to take away what is a catch. And I don't know how I feel about this. Like, because if it happened to anybody's team, would that not be the most upsetting thing? Now, I don't think that call is the reason why the Steelers lost the game. I really thought Ben Roethlisberger throwing that next, like, they faked the spike, which is silly, but then on top of it, Ben Roethlisberger throws this pass into the end zone into triple coverage. I'm counting 1, 2, 3 guys, and I'm going, oh, there's no way this ends well, right? Like, this is the typical Eli Manning interception that we have seen time and time and time again, the tip drill interception, because he just throws it into triple coverage. Ben Roethlisberger in a big game, this guy's a Hall of Famer. He ought to know better. He ought to know better. And he didn't. I don't know. You're that close to the end zone, and you've got Le'Veon Bell, and I just think, well, I don't know, somehow you got to get away in there. But certainly a slant pass into triple coverage can't possibly be your best option, right? I'm not saying that this call is what cost the Steelers the game, but maybe, like, so much of what this game is decided by mere inches. That anytime you get hurt by officials who overrule you with a rule book, that doesn't help. And it's funny to me, right? Because we hate this in other games, right? I watch a lot of boxing. We hate it when an official gets too involved in the boxing match. Well, we hate it when an NBA referee gets too involved. Then the referees are taking over the game. Football is the only sport in which the referees take over the game and we're fine. We don't care at all. It's insane. No one has ever complained that the officials in a football game take over the game. But that's what they do. Now, I think part of it is in the NBA, there's a little bit of subjectivity with it, and that's the reason why you don't want officials to take over the game. But I don't want the game taken over by a rule book, too. That seems not fun, right? Does that not seem worse? Because if an official is making too many calls and blowing the whistle too many times in an NBA game, he affects the game a lot. But if he's doing it to both sides, you can strategize for that. How can I strategize for my wide receiver caught a pass, my tight end caught a pass, he appeared to score a touchdown, and then they said, no, he didn't, because he didn't catch the ball at all. How does that even work? I'm not entirely certain how that works. You can't plan for that. You can't game plan for that. You can't strategize for that. I caught the ball, but then they said I didn't catch the ball. What's the counter to that? I'm saying we need our officials to be able to just look with their eyes and see stuff. Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, on 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
A grim discovery behind the Westwood Baptist Church in Cleveland in Candies Creek. A body was found just after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. An autopsy is to be performed today. 2 men were gunned down in the parking lot of a nightclub early Sunday morning. 1 man was killed, another one seriously injured. Sharon Porter, who's 22, dead. Tori Porter, who's 24, hospitalized. Chattanooga police say that eyewitnesses told them there was some kind of fight inside the Coyote Jack's nightclub before the shooting happened. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. This is the second shooting in 2 months at that same location. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting that happened in Ottawa on Ridgestone Drive near Hunter Road. The victim was taken to the hospital. Happened at about 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. The Sean Hannity Show is on every weekday from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Sports Now. The Tennessee Titans are still in the hunt for at least a wild card slot in the 2017 NFL playoffs, even though the Titans lost with no time remaining as San Francisco 49ers kicker Robbie Gould laced the game-winning field goal to win 25-23. Tonight, Atlanta takes on Tampa Bay in Monday Night Football. Chattanooga Mocs men's basketball team dropped an 82-76 decision at Tennessee Tech. Mackenzie London's 21 points led 4 in double figures, while the Mocs loss at Tennessee Tech happened on Sunday afternoon, dropped the Mocs to 5-6, while the Golden Eagles improved to 8-4. 4 players in double figures were leading the way in scoring, led by Pacho Tuaquezo and Berto Dryden with 17 each, as the Covenant men's basketball team pulled away in the second half for an 83-69 win at Brevard on Saturday afternoon. Sam Jordan, News Talk 92.7 Sports Now.
Areas of fog and drizzle will start out your Monday. Otherwise, mainly dry, a little milder weather for your afternoon. Highs upper 50s to near 60. Tonight, some clouds, lows only to the mid-40s. For Tuesday, mild again, high 60 to 62. Areas of rain returning late with more wet weather through Wednesday. It's Macy's Super Saturday Sale. Use your Macy's card or savings pass for extra 15 to 20% savings. Buy gifts online by 3 p.m. Sunday and pick up in store. Savings off sale prices. And I'm Source Gene 12, Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room game and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga.
Cash, and more cash. Hey, where do you think Santa shops? Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. He made a special stop to tell Rick, slash those prices. Ooh, ho, ho. That's right now for Christmas at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Even Rick's not going to say no to Santa. No. Don't wait till after Christmas. It'll be way too late. Get your cash right now for your gold, your silver, your diamonds, and jewelry. Has Rick gone mad?
Well, maybe a little.
No, we think he's just Christmassy. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. You know where it is. Hey, is that Santa? Ooh, ho, ho. Even Rick's not going to say no to Santa. No. Get your cash right now.
Goss Insurance. Yes, we are local. And no, we don't have an 800 number. In fact, our mobile numbers are on our business cards. We live, work, play, and worship in Chattanooga, and we would love to help with your insurance. Business, auto, home, life insurance. Call now, save money. Call Goss Insurance for all your insurance needs. Goss Insurance, 875-2500. 875-2500.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
So we have a game coming up Thursday. You can join in on the show Thursday and play the game if you want to play the game. I highly recommend that you play the game because I think it's a very fun game. And I will have my brother on, as I did last year, to play the game because it was a great game. And the great game is called Bowl or Not a Bowl. And the reason why I like this game so much is because I think that college bowl season has gotten out of hand. I was looking through some of the bowl games today, and look, some of these bowl games are so obscure and so random that I actually wonder why we have them at all. Really, I don't know what the deal is with a lot of these bowl games. I'm not sure how helpful it is to have the Meineke Car Care Bowl, right? Like every state, it feels like has their own bowl game. I bet Delaware has a bowl game. I don't know. I need to look it up. But the point is, you can make up bowl games, and there are people who don't know. And so one of the things that I thought was interesting last year, because last year we had Leonard Fournette and we had Christian McCaffrey skip out on bowl games. And this year, it looks like Darius Geis and Arden Key, who are a couple of big LSU players, they're going to pass on bowl games too. And we're going to see who else is going to pass on some of these bowl games. And I thought that what Nick Saban said last year about it was absolutely ridiculous. That these bowl games matter to a lot of people, and it's a fan's last chance to see their favorite players and some of the best players on their squad before they graduate and go on to do life or go on to do the NFL or what have you. And so that he thought, well, this is decreasing the quality of the bowl games, that the playoff is decreasing the quality of some of these other bowl games, and players looking forward to the NFL draft and looking forward to the NFL, that is decreasing some of the quality of these bowl games. And I beg to differ, right? I thought that there's a huge chunk of these bowl games that simply were not worth that much to begin with. And anytime you can simply create a bowl game, right? Because what it takes to make a bowl game appears to be, and I could be wrong, but it appears to me to be some kind of sponsorship, a location, and an agreement with the NCAA. And you too can host a bowl game. I remember last year I was watching the San Diego Federal Credit Union Bowl game, whereupon I had to wonder to myself, why? Does this not seem excessive? Does this not seem like too much? It seems a bit much, right? It's excessive. This idea that if you have a sponsorship, and even if you are a credit union that is local only to the city of San Diego, you too can have a nationally televised football game with a bunch of teams, by and large, we don't care about. Right? Like, the fan bases of those schools will care, but they're the only ones who will care. And if everybody can play in a bowl game, what's the point of bowl games? It's sort of like, remember in the movie, the kids' movie Incredibles, right? Where he's trying to make everybody super. And so he goes, well, if everyone's super, nobody's super. If everybody gets into a bowl game, like, bowl games don't matter. And the fact of the matter is, we've gotten to the point where there are so many bowl games that it's gotten nigh ridiculous with this. The bowl games were decreasing in value long before players decided they wanted to focus on the NFL. And the bowl games were decreasing in value long before players decided that, well, I want to prepare for the NFL draft, and so I'm not going to be participating in this game that's more or less a glorified exhibition game, right? Like, I don't want to insult bowl season, because bowl season, for me, I have a lot of special memories of bowl season. Most bowl season, watching the games with my brothers and my dad, we just watched a bunch of football games, and we didn't know who was playing. Like, we were watching Central Michigan, and that doesn't mean anything to us. We were living at the time in Texas and watching Central Michigan and watching, might have been 2009, Dan Lefevre really, really being this. It was an incredible game. I think the guy threw like 4 or 5 touchdowns in the game. Like, it was a fun game. A lot of these bowl games are fun. A lot of these bowl games do matter to somebody. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why we have so many bowl games has got nothing to do with these players. And it's got nothing to do with the fan bases. And it's got nothing to do with the schools. This is money. This is greed. This is everybody wanting their hand in the pot, because college football makes a lot of money. College football makes a lot of people rich. Right? It makes a lot of people wealthy. And that is why there are so many bowl games. They're not doing this for you. That's the thing I thought was the craziest thing about what Nick Saban said, was that Nick Saban was like, well, it's a shame that these bowl games are losing value. Then why weren't you speaking up when we were diluting bowl games, when we were adding every year there's a new bowl game in some new location? What on earth do we need a Tax Slayer Bowl for? Like, this is just all about sponsorship and money. And you've made it so that the bowl games don't have as much value as they used to. So when players start to notice that the bowl games don't have as much value as they used to, because it's all about sponsorship, to the point where coaches leave and go to coach new schools before the bowl game. Be coaching Mississippi State in a bowl game. Willie Taggart left before the bowl game. All of this coaching stuff gets decided before bowl games because that's how highly teams actually care about bowl games. So you can't run that at me like it actually matters. It doesn't. And we know this. Deep down inside, we know this, that the bowl games that matter are the big prestigious bowl games that have always mattered. And now they're part of the college football playoff, which means they matter more. And by definition means that the other bowls matter less. And I'm cool with that, right? Like, I'm fine with it. The reality of it either way, like, I sit down and watch a ton of these bowl games anyway. Like, I'll complain that there's too many bowl games. And then because I'm a lazy person and because I really, really like football way too much, and also because I have no life, I will sit down and watch a good chunk of these bowl games all the same. I am just saying, when players seem to wise up to the fact that these games don't matter, you don't get to guilt them into saying that they do and that they need to do something about it, as though college athletes need even more rules slapped on them. No. What are you going to do? It's their last game. You're going to suspend them? You have to declare for the bowl game first? How are you even going to enforce that? That doesn't even make sense. Just stop. Because there's a lot of this stuff that I think the NCAA and colleges do. And they give us that line like, well, we're doing it for the kids. We're doing it for the student athlete. No, you're not. Right? Like, I think everybody got into this for that reason. But money's nice, and money changes a lot of things, and money changes a lot of opinions. And you're at least doing a lot of this for the money, right? I'm not going to speak to which degree is money and which degree is caring and what all that means. I don't think I'm well-versed enough in all of that, and I don't care to speculate. But what I will say is, when you've got Jimbo Fisher leaving Florida State to go coach Texas A&M, and Texas A&M is firing Kevin Sumlin, and your coach is being fired or moving to another school that's more prestigious or has more money, and he's doing so before the bowl game, that tells me that the bowl game doesn't matter. And we don't seem to have a problem when coaches do it. Like, we don't complain when coaches do it. We complain when college athletes do it. And it doesn't make any sense. It's a double standard that doesn't work. And then to say that it's devaluing the bowl game, like, what, coaches deciding that, you know what, I'm actually going to try and coach at another school before the bowl game, that doesn't devalue the bowl game. When Brian Kelly leaves Cincinnati to go coach at Notre Dame before the bowl game, you think that doesn't devalue the bowl game when the guy who's been your head coach all year decides suddenly he does not any longer want to be your head coach? You don't think that devalues it? That's a wild opinion. That's one to me that smacks of absolutely bizarre. Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. One thing that I do find weird, or, well, weirder than usual. I'm going to jump to the NFL here because I find this to be incredibly odd. How much difference one coach can make in developing a quarterback. I think you have to have a quarterback or a quarterback's coach that really knows how to get in touch with a quarterback, because I'm looking at Mike Mularkey. Looking at Mularkey and what he's doing with Mariota and what he's doing at Tennessee, and I'm not a fan. I think Mariota is a very promising talent, and I think that he's learning an NFL game that doesn't make any sense, right? I think Marcus Mariota, well, let me not say it doesn't make any sense. I will say this. Marcus Mariota is learning an NFL game that made sense in 1994, and he's playing in 2017. So it doesn't make any sense now. Once upon a time, the way that the Titans played is the way you played football. Draft a large but yet mobile offensive line. Get yourself a running back that's powerful or two. Get yourself a tight end and maybe one targeted wide receiver that your quarterback can rely on. Have your quarterback run a bunch of plays underneath center. Play conservative football. Rely on your defense. Hope to win. That's what it is. That's the only way. Well, that was the only way in the 90s. I'm sorry. That's not the only way now. The way that you do this now is the way, and you can look around the NFL for examples all over the place, is the way that the Steelers have done it. If you're going to have an offense and a dynamic quarterback, you look at the way that the Steelers have done it. And the Steelers have speed at wide receiver all over the place. They've got Antonio Brown, and they've got Juju Schuster-Smith, and you've got Martavius Bryant, and you've got Le'Veon Bell. That's a nice way to do it, because that's the way that ought to work, right? Like, you just get a quarterback and you surround him with speed and talent, and then you use that speed and talent. You be aggressive with it. Right? I'm looking at the way that the Texans have done it. Once they got Deshaun Watson, and once Deshaun Watson really fit in, that's when you realize, no, actually, the Texans are very talented at wide receiver. Right? This is what the Giants tried to do with Eli until Odell Beckham Jr. and then all of his receivers got hurt, right? They were like, yeah, we're just going to surround you with a bunch of wide receivers. We're going to surround you with Odell Beckham Jr., and we're going to surround you with Sterling Shepard, and we're going to surround you with Brandon Marshall. Now, all three of those guys got injured basically 2 weeks into the season, which is absolutely unfortunate. But everyone knows that this is how this works. And only the Titans seem unaware that this is how this works. And specifically, only Mike Mularkey seems unaware that this is how this works. And we've seen time and time again what happens if you get a good quarterback coach who is in tune to actually making his quarterback better. The difference is night and day. The difference between Jared Goff with Jeff Fisher and the difference between Jared Goff with Sean McVay is that one player looks like he is about to be one more interception out of the league, and the other guy looks like he's in a place where he can lead his team on a deep playoff run. Right? Like, this is what it is. And they're the same guy. Jared Goff from one year to the next, they look like two different players. But what have they done from one team to the next? You've got one where the coach understands offense, is brilliant at play design, and is in tune with his quarterback. Understands that his quarterback is young, doesn't mind teaching him, doesn't mind schooling him a little bit. He understands these things, right? I like it. I get it. But at the same time, the other coach, Jeff Fisher was playing that caveman offense. Was not really interested in schooling Jared Goff because he couldn't really. He's a defensive guy, but like how it is that Jared Goff was coming along so slowly throughout the year. They didn't want to play him. They didn't want to try him. They didn't want to give him reps. And then by the time they finally got him reps, he looked awful. Like, Jared Goff looked truly bad last year. And then it came to the realization, like, anybody would look truly bad last year. Even Case Keenum, who is now playing quarterback in Minnesota with the Vikings, looks better this year away from Jeff Fisher. Right? Like, even him, that's problematic. That's so problematic. It's insane. And I'm looking at Mike Mularkey and I'm going, he's doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing. I don't know how you find your Sean McVay. That part is harder. I don't think that that's as easy as it looks, to find a guy that's young and talented and capable of understanding offenses and understanding and being passionate about coaching up his young quarterback. I don't know how many guys want to do that. Right. I even remember seeing old NFL Films footage of Bill Parcells trying to coach Tony Romo, and he couldn't stand it. You listen to Bill Parcells, and he's looking around the field going, where's that Tony Romo? Where is he? Because Tony Romo was a mobile quarterback, and Tony Romo wanted to throw and roll out. None of it. And Tony Romo, I thought, became a much better quarterback under Jason Garrett, who used to play quarterback. It's about having a guy that's in tune with your young quarterback and what he does and what he's capable of, and trying to design an offense that can do that. Jeff Fisher had no interest in that. Mike Mularkey has no interest in it right now. And to me, in a modern NFL setting, that can't be your coach. Either that or you know what? You just go full defense, right? Do what the Jags are doing. Do what the Broncos did when they went to the Super Bowl. Do what the Panthers did when they went to the Super Bowl. Just go full bore on defense. Don't even worry about who your quarterback is, right? Your quarterback could be Blake Bortles for all anybody cares. Just get a defense that works. And that's what Jacksonville's done. And to an extent, that's what Minnesota's done with the Vikings. Now, Case Keenum has been surprisingly good, but that was the plan in Minnesota. Like, you just pick a side of the ball and build that. That's the way you've got to win in the NFL. My thing is, if you're going to go ahead and draft a guy like Marcus Mariota, who is a possible franchise-type player, who can be very, very good if coached properly, and if given the opportunities to put the ball down the field and make the kind of plays that playmaking quarterbacks have to. If you're going to give him that ability, and you're going to give him that possibility, then you know what? Find a guy that actually likes coaching offense. Find a guy that actually likes coaching offense from our modern era. I will settle for a guy that likes coaching offense circa 2009 than what it is that Mike Mularkey is doing out there. That's terrible what he's doing. And to me, it's like, no, this is how you make a young quarterback all the way bad. Right? I cannot understand it. There is no young quarterback that would thrive in a Mike Mularkey system in consecutive seasons, right? Like, because Marcus Mariota looked really good last year. That offense was simple and refined. But what you're asking your team to do each and every year is to do the obvious thing and still succeed at it. And football is a game of strategy and a game of tactics. You're asking your team every year to go out there and run the same plays over and over and over again. The defense knows what you're going to do. Everybody knows what you're going to do, and you still have to be successful at it. I mean, there are teams that are truly transcendent who can do that. Where you have truly transcendent players at certain positions who can do that. Right? Like, you have Randy Moss. You can do that. You can run the same plays, roughly the same plays over and over and over again. And it didn't matter, because as long as you kept throwing the ball to Randy Moss, it's going to work. Remember Mike Tyson, the Randy ratio, back in 2004. Mike Tyson said, we're going to throw 3 out of every 4 passes to Randy Moss. And more or less, they did that. And more or less, they succeeded. And they got, I believe, all the way to the NFC Championship game, throwing 3 out of every 4 passes to Randy Moss. But there's no reason to believe that the Titans are built in that specific fashion for Mike Mularkey to be running this team like this, and they need to go ahead and fire that guy. And this is why I've been rooting against the Titans, because I think they need to fire that guy. Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com on 92.7 FM. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, everybody, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader. Nooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
2 men were gunned down in the parking lot of a nightclub early Sunday morning. 1 man was killed, another one seriously injured. Sharon Porter, who's 22, dead. Torrey Porter, who's 24, hospitalized. Chattanooga police say that eyewitnesses told them there was some kind of fight inside the Coyote Jack's nightclub before the shooting happened. The Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. This is the second shooting in 2 months at that same location. A grim discovery behind the Westwood Baptist Church in Cleveland in Candies Creek. A body was found just after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. An autopsy is to be performed today. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting that happened in Ottawa on Ridgestone Drive near Hunter Road. The victim was taken to the hospital. Happened at about 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. The Sean Hannity Show is on every weekday from 3 to 6. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
Expect partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Some late night fall may develop. Not that cool, though. Lows into the lower 40s. For Tuesday, mild again, highs 60 to 62. Rain becoming likely late, with more rain Tuesday night through Wednesday. Highs Wednesday near 60. Celebrate the new year with Big Shots Fireworks in Calhoun, Georgia. Now with 2 locations. Exit 312 off I-75, 3 miles west toward Rome on Highway 53, and also across from Little Caesars. That's Big Shots. And